Good morning. Welcome to the Neighborhood Housing and Development Subcommittee meeting. It's wonderful to have so many people here with us today. We're involved with a lot of exciting things that people have been working on for many years and moving forward on some of them today. We have two council members joining us by phone, and a few of them have made requests to change the meeting order, so we will be doing translation and then Reinvent Phoenix today, so that we will not be exactly in the order on the meeting agenda, and appreciate people's flexibility with that. Thank you all for being here with us today. Would start with the minutes from our last meeting.
I approve.
Motion to move, motion for approval on the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Item 3 is the Community Development Week celebration. There is an informational report and a lot of good recognition for work done on community development. So I would encourage people to read that report and join me in congratulating our nominees for the awards. And with that, we will move on to the translation agenda item, which is item 11. What? Are we good? Okay. We will take the consent agenda item.
So I move items 4 through 7 to be approved on the consent agenda.
Aye. Second.
Madam Chair?
I'm sorry, Councilman DeCiccio?
Oh, just a quick item. That's not item 3. That's the one with the hiring of the inspectors. That was left off. Is that correct? Off this consent?
The motion, it was for 4 through 7. Would you like that item removed?
Yes, if you don't mind. It's only that I want to vote no today, and then I could vote yes for it later. I want to get more details on it.
For what item number?
It was the item dealing with the inspectors, the hiring of the new inspectors.
You want to move 5 through 7?
Okay, so I will move 5 through 7. I make a motion for 5 through 7. Withdrawing item number.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Items 5 through 7 passes unanimously. And it sounds like, Councilman DeCiccio, you don't need a presentation on item 4?
No, not at all, Madam Chair. It's just that the expenses, it's about $100,000 per person, and I'm just wondering, since we have all these budget issues, if there's a less expensive way to do that. I just want to get more details on it from staff.
Okay.
And I might end up voting for it at the council. I just want to get more information on it.
Wonderful. Staff is nodding that they look forward to briefing you.
Thank you.
All right. You want to do a motion on item 4?
I'll second.
Okay. I guess I move item 4, and Councilman Valenzuela seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Passes 3-1. And now we are back to item 11. So item 11 is translation and interpretation services. Most of us on the subcommittee are working very actively with diverse populations across our community, so we want to make sure they have the language ability to be engaged.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we are here as a follow-up from last month's discussion on this item. It's very timely that we come back. You had asked for a little more detail as to how we are working with our most vulnerable constituent population. So what we quickly update everybody is several of our departments here that come to the Neighborhood Housing Development Subcommittee utilize a various number of different partners. We have some 60 different contracts in place for the city to be able to utilize providing translation and interpretation services to hundreds of different languages. Each of our programs have a need for either training or interaction with the community. We interact with the IRC to reach the refugee population, or DES and their refugee and resettlement partnership in order to reach out. We use Seracom, which is a phone-provided service to reach out to community and neighborhood events and interactions to over 200 different languages in order to provide, and/or translators, interpreters to provide training as well. What you had asked for last time was a little bit of a tabulation as to how the utilization rate has been for these services. And then we have a graph here over the last 4 years for our 3 departments and how we've been able to utilize these. These services are very important in reaching oftentimes the most vulnerable populations out there. As we say, we use upwards of 60 different translators or interpreters to be able to meet the needs of our constituent population. Certainly those are available to the council offices. I think as was recommended previously, is there an opportunity for them to do that? These are existing contracts that, where appropriate and given the circumstances on your needs to reach these vulnerable populations, either through our staff, their initiatives, or the partnerships we already have instituted with these other partners, including ASU, we can be able to establish that for each of your respective offices. But our 3 represent about 10% of the total being spent amongst the city. So there are some definitely other departments that spend a lot more that are very crisis-oriented, that they need immediate. But we reach out probably the severe and most vulnerable populations, which I know is a dear concern for the subcommittee. So with that, we just wanted to bring back with you the opportunity to see how it's used. Again, we have contracts and services available and partnerships that we'd be able to arrange for further. But we have close contact with each of our constituent populations through these partnerships. These are often daily, weekly, depending on either their needs and the needs of their constituents or the needs of our programs and information outreach.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the chart. Councilman Valenzuela and my office are working together on a refugee town hall, and we were looking for translation services and learned the city had about 4 contracts for those meetings. One, we had a robust Spanish language program, 2 contracts related to sign language, and then 1 related to Serbian languages. But we are hoping to engage our very diverse refugee population, including we have some Iraqis who came here under heroic circumstances after aiding our troops, and we have a very strong and vibrant Somali community and wanted to make sure they were included as well. And so this drew our attention to the difficulty in reaching those populations, and we are trying to work with our communications offices to have more robust options to be able to engage and learn from the communities within our city.
Certainly, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we can certainly look to engage more contractors in any areas of gap we may have in communications with our populations.
Fabulous. Sorry.
Madam Chair, can I offer a couple of comments as well?
Please.
Well, first, thank you, Madam Chair, for just, staying diligent on this particular topic. We do have a growing refugee community, a growing immigrant community, and that's nothing new to the city of Phoenix, the state of Arizona, and definitely not new for the country that we live in. District 5 is home to Alhambra High School, for an example, which is just it's a great high school, great leadership from the superintendent level, the school board level, which, by the way, our colleague Laura Castor is a member of that school board, and it's a very diverse district, and this is the most diverse high school in the state. There are more than 40 languages spoken at Alhambra High School every single day, and these are kids who are being educated here. They're going to move on to go to college here, start their businesses here, their families, and live good lives here. We need to do all that we can now to realize with more population is who we're here to serve, and I think it starts right here. We need to figure out what contracts we have, what languages, what are the languages that the city of Phoenix is prepared to speak, whether it's through a translation, a contract, or through just bilingual services with their employees. We just have to get that snapshot, and we have to, which I think we're doing now. So I want to thank city staff for for putting this together, but I also want to thank, I want to thank those departments that have been doing this for a really long time now. To sort of think outside the box and realize that these are people who live in our community, and we have to communicate with people. So as we move forward, I'd like to see that number of languages broaden, maybe more opportunities to share with the public that the city of Phoenix is making strides and efforts in this area. Like anything else, the more we make people feel included on the process, the more willing they are of, really opening up and sharing their strengths with the city. That can turn into, an entrepreneur wanting to stay in Phoenix, to start their business, create jobs right there in Phoenix, as opposed to go to a place that they feel more included, and help their economy. So this is a positive step in the right direction. Again, it's just a snapshot, but moving forward, we should definitely be looking at ways to, so again, broaden the list of languages and maybe doing some outreach to let people know that that this is all that the city has to offer. And a lot of refugees that we're meeting every day may be having trouble with Phoenix, but they're certainly adding to the tax base as well. They're also taxpayers in many ways. We have to be, inclusive in all things.
Wonderful. Thank you for your leadership in that area. I know Councilwoman Pastor also represents a very vibrant and diverse community, including what I would guess, where we both share many students who attend Camelback High School, which I would guess is the second most.
Yes, diverse. Yes. My question is, if I need interpretation, say in Arabic, do we have somebody on the vendor list that could provide that interpretation?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman, we do have CIRICOM, which speaks over 200 languages. I'm not certain exactly which each of those are. We certainly can get a list out to each of the council offices, what's available through that as well. We have a list of our contractors, as you referred to earlier. What we'd like to provide next is probably a tabulation of each of the contractors and the language that can be provided, translation, interpretation. I think it would be most valuable to all involved in this process.
That'll be perfect. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Pastor used the interpretation correctly. I said translation, but I meant interpretation at meetings, so thank you for helping us with that particular area. An important distinction, because I think we do have more translation services available as opposed to interpretation at meetings. And when we last spoke, I think we had a little bit of different opinions in this committee, but we spoke about housing. And my feeling that when parents have difficult housing situations, that they ought to have an alternative besides having their children interpret and translate for them, especially if it is in a situation where their housing may be unstable. Have we looked into that anymore?
Chairwoman Gallego, members of the subcommittee, you are correct. Is that, and going back and talking with staff, indeed, if there is a sensitive issue that is to be discussed, they would bring in a translator to be able to have those conversations and would not have the child actually present for that type of conversation. So there's a lot of generic stuff, but yes, if it gets into things that aren't appropriate, we make sure that they have that translation service available.
Wonderful, thank you. And obviously, as Councilman DeCiccio pointed out, there are situations where there's not any stress, and if it's changing the maintenance schedule, I think it's fine if the children step in, but if it is a difficult situation, I think we want to make sure that the relationship between parents and children stays, way where the children don't know more than their parents and are involved in situations that are very difficult.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further comments on this item?
Madam Chair, again, great point, and I know that there have been there's been discussion in certain communities where that's been brought up, and of course it never happened, especially when it comes to law enforcement, for an example, and of course our law enforcement is sure that is not happening. But as a firefighter, I will tell you that sometimes that's all you have to go off of is the child translating for his or her parent, and in a life-saving situation, you have to go with all you have to improvise. But when it comes to, the answer there is maybe you have to find it in the budget for more immersion programs, especially when it comes to public safety personnel, immersion opportunities. Phoenix Fire has one of the most successful Spanish immersion programs. We should try to figure out what we can do on to broaden that, but also what would it take to do something like that on the Phoenix Police Department side. And, just as you and I have spoken, Madam Chair, what are the next languages, in Phoenix, the next most spoken languages in Phoenix, and you should start, getting ahead of the curve there as well. I want to make it very clear, this is a good thing. Diversity is a very good thing. Inclusivity is an even better thing, because now we are accepting people for their strengths and for who they are. And if we make people feel included, then again, we'll come out with as a better city board. Our economy, as a city, should believe will impact positively for it. So going back to the first point I was making, sometimes, you have to, when seconds truly matter, sometimes all you have to go off of is anyone who can translate for you, which many times is the school-age child, because they're learning English at school and they can help. We should not be doing that. In fact, I know we don't do that with the city staff, and we're bringing up the point that when it comes to some of these other topics that we're dealing with, we should not be putting our children in those positions, that we should have qualified translators through Sericom or any other vendor. But I think that puts us in the best place also legally as well. So, again, thank you for your leadership there as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilman. And I think your comments on the public safety side were very insightful. I understand that on the police side that we're going to have a meeting with Chief Kurtenbach and the refugee community very soon, and that's something we ought to continue to discuss. One of the people who will be part of that meeting is Ilyas Muhammad, who was recognized with the Governor's Volunteer Service Award on Friday and has been a very important part of our Somali community, and now has been helping us with police community relations. And I think we have good individuals like Ilyas who can help us as we move forward in this and make sure that Phoenix is a welcoming community for all of our residents. So thank you to staff for your work on this item. We have the pleasure today of being joined by one of my predecessors in District 8, Councilman Good, who is with us, along with many other people who've been very involved in the reInvent agenda item 10, and several people had requested that we move that item to our next item. So with that, we're going to welcome the reInvent team.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, thank you very much for your time. The reInvent Phoenix project is a $2.9 million grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The city has 17 project partners on this effort, and we have been working on these three plans for about 2.5 years now. They do establish a bold vision for the future of Phoenix along the light rail line. You'll see here in this next slide, we are here to talk about three of the plans today: the Gateway, one on the far eastern edge, Eastlake Garfield, as well as the Midtown Plan. We'll be back next month before you to talk about the Uptown, Solano, as well as the Walkable Urban Code form-based code that will come forward to help implement all of these plans at your next meeting. With that, I'm going to turn over to Kurt Upton, who is our project manager on the reInvent project, and then also Catherine Coles, who was village planner and been working on a number of the plans as well.
Thank you. So this diagram here shows our basic approach to the planning process. We started with an existing conditions analysis, followed that with a vision, and then strategies to move the existing conditions to the vision. This is also how the document is set up today, tomorrow, and how we get there, which mirrors this planning process. And as you can see, we had an extensive community outreach and engagement effort that was part of each step of the planning process. I'm going to touch on each of the three key sections. The first, the existing conditions assessment. We looked at the conditions in each of these districts in a holistic manner through 6 planning elements. We were actually selected by American Planning Association for their national conference just over the past weekend, along with our partner St. Luke's Health Initiatives, to present and provide a training session on how we incorporated health and green infrastructure into the planning process. The second chapter was the visioning chapter, the tomorrow chapter. We did an extensive community involvement effort in all of our districts. We had workshops done in 5 different languages through our partners ASU, St. Luke's Health Initiatives, and IRC, which I believe was a first for the planning department, something we're really proud of. And this establishes a vision for long-term sustainability and how we can transform the district over time in a way that improves walkability and the overall quality of life in each of these areas. And we also developed implementation strategies with stakeholder steering committees and others, in particular Urban Land Institute, that helped us involve real estate developers, and Local First Arizona that brought in a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners to help develop the implementation strategies. And one of the key tools that we've developed through this process is a new form-based code called the Walkable Urban Code, and the plans help guide the application when we go about doing the rezoning to that Walkable Urban Code. So that's one of the key policy recommendations that are part of this plan. I'll turn it over to Catherine to talk about some of the more specifics in the plan itself.
Hey, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. The first plan that will be before you is the Gateway District outlined on the map here on the far eastern edge of our light rail system. It has several light rail stations, elementary school districts. We engaged a lot of stakeholders in the community, including the Rio Salado College, Honeywell, the state hospital, and many neighborhood leaders in the area. There are a lot of challenges in here in terms of mega blocks that impede connectivity for walking. Some of the streets have hazardous conditions in terms of safety for pedestrians and bicyclists, and there are identified lack of services. But in addition, this has a high poverty rate and challenges with transportation costs. However, there are many pluses in the area, including the Grand Canal and the light rail. So in addition to identifying zoning moving forward, the plans are identifying how to prioritize future investment. And one of the priority areas that was identified by the community is the Van Buren corridor. We have just some quick visions here of how the corridor could transform to become a walkable, bikeable, TOD-oriented place. And in keeping with that, we've already begun some work through some funding from MAG to identify how we can move forward with this vision. The Eastlake Garfield District, closer to downtown, has 2 stations at 12th Street, and there are historic neighborhoods all around it, and including Garfield, Eastlake Park, and neighborhoods around St. Luke's Hospital. There are a number of schools in here. There's the Eastlake Park and the Verde Park, And priority areas identified in the Eastlake Garfield neighborhood included Van Buren corridor as well. And one of our catalyst projects we recommend is for improvements at the 16th Street and Van Buren intersection. And again, like in the previous images, this would be how do we improve it for walkability, bikeability, and TOD development. Midtown District is north of downtown. It starts at McDowell and goes up to Indian School Road. There are 3 stations in this district. Historic neighborhoods flank the corridor on each side. There are a lot of museums. It's a high-rise corridor. St. Joseph's Hospital is a significant anchor institution in this area. And one of the catalyst projects we look to work on in the future is how to reinvent or encourage the redevelopment of the Park Central Mall. It's a very underutilized site at the time, and we would like to encourage development on this site that would include a plaza on Central, a park space over on 3rd Avenue, a paseo that walks through, lining Catalina with mid-rises and liner buildings and parking, and having the focus here be healthcare and mixed use. Keep in mind, this is a vision. It's something to move towards to stimulate discussion and ideas, although this vision isn't very far off from what ownership has envisioned for the site. Another project in the Midtown area is the 3rd Street area. Years ago, Streets did a study for the 3rd Street Promenade, and the community would like to see that come to implementation again for pedestrian safety, walkability, bikeability, and TOD development. There's interest in ultimately seeing a trolley or a bus circulator on this street, and more neighborhood serving development as opposed to the Central Avenue corridor with the high-rise businesses. So we're here today to say that we do recommend all 3 of these plans to be approved through this subcommittee. And if you have any questions, well, we're here for you.
Wonderful. Thank you for those. And a special congratulations to Kurt for your very diligent work on this. I think this is one we will see impacting our city for many years to come, and we really appreciate all the time meeting with the community and bringing in the latest in planning purposes. Certainly well-deserved recognition from the Planning Association. It will be at this year's conference, not
Correct.
next year's.
Yeah, it was
Maybe we can recognize it again next year. I heard there's a better location for the conference next year.
Absolutely.
I think it's coming to Phoenix.
It is,
next year,
correct,
so.
yes.
That is correct, yes.
Madam Chair, for the record, I would like to just add that all 3 plans were approved by the various council-appointed steering committees, the appropriate village planning committees, and the Planning Commission as they sit before you today.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We have many cards on these items, so if it's okay with my colleagues, I thought we'd start with the comments. Calvin Good.
I'm Calvin C. Good. I live at 1508 East Jefferson Street, and I've lived in Eastlake Park Association area for 60 years, and I don't plan to move. We certainly find the plan acceptable. We might raise the issue of, I've seen a lot of plans passed, and then there's money to develop them and all of these kinds of things. So we're wondering, since it involves a great number of departments, we're wondering about who's going to coordinate all of this to be sure that we get the items listed completed before I pass on to Glory. So again, we are extremely pleased to be able to talk to this committee, and we certainly hope that you will see fit to help us to develop it as quickly as possible. Veronica Lockhart is a member, but we both are members of the Central City Village Planning Committee. We spent hours on this program, as well as in Eastlake. We're just to the east of you, And certainly we're concerned with different departments working together to be able to get this done, because there's a number of things that will need to be done. We talked with some of your city staff yesterday in reference to it, and we hope that monies will be available so that we can do the kind of things that's needed to be done. Would you like to have any comments?
I'm standing here with Mr. Good just to say we really do approve of the plan. We just want to make sure that everything is done. We know there's been hard work by Mr. Upton, Ms. Cole, several other people also, as well as ourselves in the community. So we want to stand behind them and let them know we're behind you, but we want to push you to get this accomplished and as soon as possible. And any monies that are freed up, anybody got any extra money, please remember East Lake Garfield. We want to make sure that we get this off the ground, and if we are to be the example for the rest of the country, as I stated to Assistant City Manager, I like to work in excellence, and I don't want to be associated with something that is not put forward. So please just remember what we stated here and just keep us in mind, because next time you'll see us again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you both for your service to our
And
city.
we're both members of the Central City Village Planning Committee.
Central City has spent many, many hours at getting us a good plan in conjunction with many other groups, including the steering committee. So thank you to the committees and their leaders as well for your many hours to our city. And I might turn it over to staff for our implementation plan.
Oh, well, first of all, let me just say that whenever we get a plan adopted like this, the city staff take that plan and use it to guide our investment strategy for city resources. So as an example, and you know this because we briefed you yesterday about the streets capital improvement program in your district in particular, but I'll also mention something that's in District 4. So in the streets capital improvement plan, there in the next 5 years, there's money set aside to work on the Van Buren corridor. There's also money set aside to work on the 3rd Street Promenade that you saw there. So within the next 5 years, funding will follow the plan, which is great. The third thing I want to mention is we're about to go forward and apply for another Tiger grant from the federal government. And I don't know whether we'll be the region's plan, but the staff has identified, the streets and transit staff working together have identified the canal between 23rd Avenue on the west and all the way down to the city limits, essentially. And it cuts right through both of these planning areas. Well, I guess more so the East Lake Garfield. It'll be up in your northern, the next two plans. But the canal bank and improvements there and improvements to all the crossings for multimodal pedestrian, bike, and transit users. So plans actually do guide our investment and our decision making in other departments of the city. And Mr. Stevenson and his team coordinate very closely through a team that we've assembled called CETA to sort of plan all of the city investments and coordination of private development as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Next, Margaret Dietrich.
Margaret Dietrich from 17 West Vernon, and I'm in the Midtown area, and we certainly appreciate the planning department's effort in this. Kurt Upton and Catherine Coles have been to so many of our meetings and we just greatly appreciate all the effort. Midtown is coming alive with developers. They're tripping over each other trying to get things going. There's almost 1,000 housing units coming, either already approved or coming online shortly. And so we really need to keep ahead of all this development. So we really would like to have this approved and definitely a go for the 3rd Street Promenade.
Wonderful. Suzanne?
I'm Suzanne Feaster, the president and CEO of St. Luke's Health Initiatives, and we were mentioned a couple of times there. Our offices are in the Midtown district. And I just want to let you know this was fairly unusual to add health as a component in this planning effort. And I want to commend the city staff and the council for including that, because it really was an important component. We had some very, very robust discussions. We actually helped facilitate a program in the Solano district that was translated in Bhutanese. So to Kurt's point that there was a vibrant discussion going on in many languages. But we are very pleased with the health component as part of and integrated into the economic development and the other pieces of this. Having access to healthy foods, as well as the walkability and bikeability, the complete streets aspects of it, really is a key to the economic vibrancy that I think we will continue to see. The other thing is St. Luke's Health Initiatives has committed some small grants and will continue to do that to help with implementation. We've given a small grant to the Gateway and we'll be working with the Wilson School District. So in our small way, we're helping with that implementation. I do want to say the APA conference was on Friday. There were 300 people there listening to the overview of Reinvent Phoenix. So we are making strides even on the national and getting national attention about this effort. So thank you.
Thank you for your leadership and congratulations. We have several cards from individuals who are in favor of the proposal and available to speak if requested. Would any, having heard the testimony, anyone who's available to speak change their mind and definitely want to speak? Excellent. Then we will turn to, Deep.
Good morning, council members. My name is Diana Yazzie Devine. I'm the CEO of Native American Connections, and we actually are a landowner and a service provider in each one of the districts. We participated in the Uptown District and the community planning process, and we're also a partner with St. Luke's Health Initiatives, and we're highly in favor. Thank you.
Wonderful. And Shannon Skusari marked in favor, and Sylvia also marked in favor, so thank you for your support of this. And now we will turn to council member questions and comments.
Anybody on the line? Well, I would like to commend the staff for all the dedication that they have had or done. And in Reinvent Phoenix, I entered a year and a half ago when all of it was happening, and just jumped right in. But in this whole process, what I enjoyed the most was the engagement and the excitement of the community, and what they wanted to see and where they wanted to go, and how their voice was really heard in this process. And it reminds me very similar, and I'm assuming all our plans are all embedded also in our general plan. So we will see this happen, and we will I believe that in this collaboration and this effort, we see how we are going to be the most awesome city that everybody's going to want to move to and be part of. And we will collaborate and make sure that the funding is there, because this is our plan and this is where we're going to go. Somewhere in there may be a slight adjustment, but I am anticipating there will be no adjustment, really. There's some flexibility in certain areas, but we will discover those as we move ahead, especially in 3rd Street Promenade, as we're looking at it right now and seeing what we can and cannot do and how we can, working with our utilities companies and doing it. But it's there, and we're going to push. So I don't think Kurt or Catherine need any pushing. They're ready to go. We just need the funding. And so that is up to us and many of our partnerships to make sure it's there for the dream to happen. So I want to thank you guys for doing this. You dedicated a lot of hours to this in many different ways and on weekends. And so, and your family has, you have sacrificed many hours with your family and appreciate it. Kurt, I'm very humbled to say I'm sorry to see you leave. We are losing Kurt. Yeah. Yes. And so, Kurt, congratulations. I didn't think the community knew, so I was going to tell the community. He is moving to Colorado and has received a job offer, and I congratulate you for that. I was thinking about it the other night, and I thought, wow, I'm so sorry. I know the dedication you have for this city. I anticipate you will be back. At what point, I don't know in your career, but your dreams will come alive, and it's your footprint. So thank you for that.
Again, I really appreciate that. It's very humbling. And yeah, this is my hometown, and so I do plan on being back at some point in the future, I hope. So thanks.
Well, this certainly will be your legacy here, and I hope you'll come back and make sure we're remembering all of the important parts and be proud of what happens. And thank you to the councilwoman for putting the words that I think the rest of the council subcommittee would have chosen very eloquent. Thank you.
Thank you. So you need a motion.
I actually have a few questions.
Okay, you have questions, Kate. All right.
So we did get, on the gateway plan, I did get one, so there was one section that talks about adding additional dwelling units to existing properties. And I just wanted to sort of get a little bit of history of where that came from, because there was some community concern about.
Go ahead, answer.
So yeah, in the Gateway District specifically, we do have a recommendation to take a look at accessory dwelling units as a strategy. In the actual language, we talk about working with the individual neighborhoods to make sure that that's something they support. But what we've seen in the current conditions in Gateway is there's a lot of overcrowding that's happening now, and a lot of that is being accomplished by people living in multiple bedrooms, and sometimes non-permitted substandard construction happening anyway in the form of accessory dwelling units. So, and it's as a strategy to improve housing quality, affordability. It's something we want to take a look at. Obviously, we'll have to do it in partnership with those neighborhoods, because there's various viewpoints on how that can change a neighborhood.
Wonderful. So I just did want people to know that we'll have neighborhood conversations and look to make sure it makes sense community by community, because there are some communities not in Gateway that have some very strong opinions on that, and I think that's one of the areas where we just need to have more conversation. Fabulous. And we have had a lot of conversations in District 8 about gentrification. I've talked to folks that we're going to look to strategies that make sure that longstanding communities are protected and that we have tools to make sure people can afford good housing options all across the spectrum. And you actually had some good comments on that about how some areas related to gentrification that I thought might be interest to the people here today. If you don't mind being put on the spot one last time.
Absolutely, Councilwoman. Yeah, affordable housing was a value that we heard over and over again throughout our discussions with the community. And so there's a strong emphasis on strategies to ensure that as the light rail corridor transforms and grows over time, that an appropriate amount of housing is available for people who, have to work in the area or are retired and large families. So we do feel that there's an appropriate emphasis on that in all of our plans. In fact, we set aside about $500,000 of our grant budget to fund direct implementation grants of affordable housing. And so through our partners, Native American Connections and also CPLC, are moving forward with some affordable housing right now. So.
Fabulous. We can work to make this a plan that benefits everyone. And we are going to need a fair amount of economic growth if we're going to do all the incentive funds in here that.
Yes.
And we are still talking to staff on a few of them. Like I could not agree more that we need more grocery stores in the plan areas, but how much the city can be involved in incentives for those, we're probably going to need private sectors, partners to step up for some of those as well, because there's.
Absolutely, Councilwoman. The plan is really something that outlines a big picture strategy that will take lots of different folks from the private sector, the community, staff, other nonprofits to really implement over time.
Yeah, this will definitely have to be a partnership. There are lots of very ambitious goals. I think in some areas we're going from 0 A-rated schools to 100%. So the city will need great partners to be able to do that. A lot of these goals will have to be a real community effort because we are aiming very, very high. and that's exciting, but it is going to take a lot of partnerships to move forward with these ambitious goals. But I know Councilwoman Pastor and I are very excited about some of the transformational nature and creating great places to live along the rail with shade and more vibrant, active communities. Some of the things that downtown has been known for, and people have said during this process they really want to see more throughout the corridor. So this puts us in a great position as we move forward, and maybe even growing our rail system even more, because people have loved what they've seen in the areas where this has begun and asked for more of it. So look forward to moving forward, and with that, would welcome that motion.
So what I wanted, I will do the motion, but what I want to also say is that District 4 happens to be benefiting currently by the plan in the sense of people are aware of the plan, looking at the plan, and the growth is happening with District 4. I have just had a conversation last week regarding a new grocery store coming in on the core of Camelback, realizing we have a food desert and wanting to look on the light rail and core, so that's exciting. The exciting thing is that Banner has relocated right on Thomas and Central due to the light rail, the connectivity, and all the excitement that is happening. So we're seeing a lot of it because of all this great work that I'm going to make a motion on. 3rd Street and Promenade had a fun, exciting dialogue about how private partnerships were coming into play, and we were able to see that happen on 3rd Street and Promenade. So what I'm trying to say, it's happening now that we've had all this dialogue and people are excited and wanting to invest. So we're seeing it. I would like to make a motion to move the East Lake Garfield Transit-Oriented District Policy Plan, or the Gateway and Midtown Transit-Oriented District Policy Plans forward. I need a second.
Madam Chair, if we could just add per the April 17th, 2015 memo, because there were some typographical issues that were changed as part of that. But no.
Okay, per the April 17th, 2015 memo.
Second?
Sal?
I'll second.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Valenzuela.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work. We are just beginning, but a lot of excitement to celebrate.
Thank you.
We will now go to item number 8, South Phoenix Village infill request for proposal results.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I am Chris Hallett, the Director of the Neighborhood Services Department. I'm joined here today with Jesse Garcia. He's our Housing Development Manager, responsible for our redevelopment area plans and infill programs. Imagine, if you will, what it feels like to be this City of Phoenix resident living in a once brand new infill project back in 2001, now surrounded on all sides by vacant land, just waiting to be filled in with brand newly constructed single-family infill. This resident is not alone. If we go up 30,000 feet and take a look at the neighborhood, this is South Phoenix Village, separated by the North-South Street, 24th Street there. And you see both inside the grayed out area, which is our Four Corners overlay plan, inside and outside of that, we have a lot of vacant property. This is a result of our redevelopment area plans we have for both the South Phoenix Village area, which is east or to the right of 24th Street, as well as the Target Area B redevelopment plan, which is to the west of 24th Street. These plans were developed back in 1989-1990 with a large amount of community input as to what they would like to see for their community. Currently, we're 25 years into this plan of executing it. One of the planned execution was that corner, as it looks here. So that grayed out area kind of looks like this is the Four Corner overlay that was approved back in 1990 as to what the community would like to see that intersection look like. And what you're looking at is largely commercial along the major arterials of 24th Street and Broadway. We have a long way to go to get there, and today's award would help us to be able to get there. So again, back to what we look like today. This is a lot of infill that's been acquired over the years as a result of these plans. So on the South Phoenix Village, on the right or the east side of 24th Street there, it's largely dependent upon single-family infill. We've done that through the course of years of acquiring and demolishing blighted, dilapidated, aged housing stock over the years. So we removed it from the highest level of blight, and we replaced it with a less level of blight, if you will, with the vacant lots that you see here today. And we've had 2 prior instances where we tried to do the infill in this community in order to bring it to fruition, but for the housing decline that happened back years ago, we were unable to do that. However, we've been continuing to work in the area to provide progress as much as we can given the series of services we have. We also have come in to acquire most of all the vacant properties you see on this slide. So we've made promises through these plans over the years, and what we'd hoped to do and started back in 1997 through 2001, thanks to Gail Knight, who is present here today, and the Community Excellence Project. The little bit of infill we've done is represented on these slides here, where back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, we initiated the infill program in order to be able to increase the housing stock, the quality of housing in the neighborhood, to be able to preserve what we have there and continue to develop those lands. And they were able to develop about 42 infill in the neighborhood, 28 along one street on Corona, which they coined Street of Dreams because it really indicated what the quality of life could be in this neighborhood. So what we've been able to do over the years through city investment, in addition to the Four Corners Overlay Master Plan that you saw, the nice design that the community aspires to achieve, through the course of these years we've been able to acquire blighted, dilapidated properties, demolish them as necessary, and we've been able to build some infrastructure. You know, the corner piece of the 24th Street and Broadway is the Broadway Heritage Neighborhood Resource Center, pictured at the top right. That's in the southeast corner of that intersection, and it's a large public presence. It has a police substation in there and some community rooms available to the public. Also pictured there to the south of that, along the west side, or the east side of 24th Street, is a multi-use trail that goes all the way south to Rozier, and it's intended to go north up to the river bottom to provide a very pedestrian-friendly, community-based interaction for that community. As well, the trail helps serve removal of blighted properties. Put in, as you can see, there's a arrow there indicating a loop street that helps prevent cut-through traffic. This neighborhood had just a bunch of east-west traffic right from 24th Street, and there was a lot of higher crime elements and blight as a result of those. So the loop streets help calm the traffic and provide a safety presence for the community. All we've been able to do since the downturn in the market is to continue our blight elimination through our neighborhood stabilization and acquisition program, as well as providing a code enforcement is the predominant nature we've been able to do thus far. But we're really poised and ready for our next steps. So this picture you see here is a picture of Dream Street, or Street of Dreams. We'd like to finish what we started way back when. And as a result of direction and approval given by the subcommittee, we instituted an RFP for infill for 130 lots that we have remaining in the neighborhood to be developed with single-family quality, energy-efficient homes. And in order to do that, we did a procurement. We had 2 bidders, and with the award, you'll be able to turn this neighborhood back into a community. We'll be able to, if they're provided the award, Foundation for Senior Living Real Estate Services would be able to construct 121 new single-family infill over the course of 3 to 5 years, providing increased pride in the neighborhood again, investment in the neighborhood, property values be raised, the area median income would raise, the number of households being populated would hope to provide incentive for market and commercial to come into the corners that we've aspired to build out as commercial. Hopefully it would be enough enrollment again to reopen the now closed Brooks Academy School that's in the neighborhood. So if you could please help me help that neighborhood be transformed into community again by approving or recommending council approval that we award this contract to FSL Real Estate Services so they begin their quest to invest in the community.
Wonderful, thank you, and thank you to the community members for sticking with us for many years. We have some cards on the item. Councilman Good marked in favor. Not here, I believe. Betty Ware marked in favor. If we could welcome you up. Are you ready? Would you rather we could do council questions first if you. And could we could bring the microphone to you if that would be better?
What?
Is that okay to?
Oh, thank you.
For people who are watching online,
Okay.
is that okay?
Thank you so much, Chair and Councilman. My name is Betty Ware, and I have been a part of this development plan since 1989, along with Gail and along with also so many others, Councilman Good and so many others. I'm the co-chair for the Broadway Heritage Neighborhood Association, along with our chair here, Wyatt Moore. We are excited about the plans that we have been in place for a long time. And when we talk about revitalization, we're talking about revitalization, not just taking a couple of lots here and there. We're talking about actually redeveloping a community. And when you come into putting in, as you saw up on the screen here, there are some very nice homes. Infield has come along very well. But what we want to also do is to be making our community inclusive. And we want them to be a part of the plan of the revitalization and not to be blocked out of it. We want to make affordable homes, but yet we want to have multi-homes where we have, let's say, it's not just low income. It can go across the board. And with the variety of development of homes, which opens the doors for everyone, and you're not closing anyone out. In other words, if you want to live there, you can afford it. If you want to, the home is there for you. Or if you want to have another higher class home, that's there too. But we want it to be open that way. And as the development comes along, and I'd say right now, and I'm looking at, because I served also on the Roosevelt School District Board for about 16 years, and looking at what you're talking about, the changes that has come about. But then you see right now, within just the change that has taken place, let's say, for instance, we've now named Broadway, Martin Luther King Boulevard. Well, that name means a lot. And we want that area to reflect that. Okay, so I look at the changes that we must make, and that inclusive, we're going to talk about with the businesses that will be coming in. I believe if we make the homes come in, the businesses will come. I believe that the businesses that we already have in our area definitely need to be inclusive with the redevelopment plan. In other words, you have of course, we have a great Salvation Army that's down there on the corner from us, but then right next door you have a salvage, or you have a tire company that's not keeping the, let's say, curb appeal, okay? And that's why I say, it's great, yeah, you're doing businesses there, but you know what? You need to be a part of the redesign plan, which is now in front of us, to make that beautification be a part of our area that reflects the name of Martin Luther King Boulevard. And so, again, this is where I'm still excited about being a part of this, and also many members in our community. And the time is way overdue. The time is way overdue. We need to do this. And if it's just to make, you have so many meetings, and people get to the point where they just I guess you might say you meted them out, and they're not seeing anything. And they're saying, what's the use in going to a meeting? Our chair has issues with that right now, trying to get people to come to our meetings. So again, we have to make a reality. I want to make it inclusive, and we want it to be the beautification that we desire, that we demand to have in our area and deserve to have in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your longtime leadership. Could you speak a little bit about the financing methods in the proposal and what sort of income levels would be eligible for these homes as proposed? Because that's a comment I've heard over and over again.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. So we've acquired many of these lots through various different funding sources, the majority of which are federally funded. And the funding that we would use to predominantly serve these, we were able to serve any income level that can qualify for a loan. And by doing that, we're able to assist buyers at 80% area median income or lower, or up to 120% or lower with various different assistance given their income levels. Certainly we can, people above 120 can also buy from a market rate. So there's some work that needs to be done in property values in order to be able to get to that level. But most of what we do as a department through our revitalization efforts is when the market isn't quite there yet. We're ahead of it. We're providing the seed money that can provide incentives for others to come. Again, if we're able to start getting these built, occupied with homeowners of any and all types of income levels through our home buyers assistance that we have allotted for this program, property values as a whole are going to raise in the community. Others are going to invest in their properties. Other investors will come in and buy up property and start investing as well. So it's really a holistic approach and comprehensive strategic revitalization that we come in first with these assistant models that we can with our developers to be able to get a growth momentum going in the neighborhood. And the financing, I guess, it basically is the federal funds, NSP and CDBG funds that we have to help assist this. The developer themselves has capital that they're bringing to in their own capacity to be able to borrow for development.
So can you speak a little bit to what the financing would look like for someone above 120% of the area median income?
Well, it would be traditional home buyer. They'd have to secure their own first mortgage.
Madam Chair, council members, just like any other type of home ownership, like Mr. Hallett had mentioned, first mortgage will be required. We also have partnered up with nonprofit housing counselings because the housing counseling is a key component to this. We want sustainable ownership, and you'll hear and you see in the proposals long-term ownership. This is what this community needs. So housing counseling is a key component. And we would highly recommend even our market rate buyers get that service provided to them so they can develop the good homeownership practices.
Thank you.
So what I'm hearing is there is some education component or encouraged of an education piece of I don't want to of financial literacy in the sense of how to hold on to your home and what's needed to be there a lifetime home buyer. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Absolutely, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor. As we learn through this housing crisis, housing bubble, the more educated you are, the better practices you're going to have as a homeowner. So some of our federal funds will just require it straight out, 8 hours of housing counseling and then one-on-one financial budgeting counseling on top of that. So there's going to be an advocate that walks each homeowner through the whole process. And we have found that to be very valuable. And we're also going to be adding a post. So it's not about just preparing them. It's also all the work that's done afterwards to make sure you're 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, because part of our monitoring process to be successful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I've heard from the community over and over again, they really want economically diverse groups. And that we've heard there's a lot of retail and particularly on the food side, needs in the community, but then the private sector partners have said having a little more people above area median income will help us attract that. So that's definitely been a priority for our office, and this is building a diverse community with people across the income spectrum. And
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, every buyer coming into there will help raise the area median income of the area.
We have a card marked in favor from Stephen Hastings and Claudia. I don't know if you each want to speak separately or... Excellent.
Just wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Steve Hastings with the Foundation for Senior Living. We're a nonprofit that's been here serving Arizona for 40 years. We've about 450 employees, many of which are engaged in real estate, but many also in healthcare, homemaker services, adult daycare, transportation. We also have an energy sector, so we do the Building Performance Institute. We train builders how to build better envelopes, how to build better homes. We are the Department of Energy Dry Weather Training Center as well. We've been involved with NSP quite a bit. We've done some multifamily projects for other nonprofits like CAS. We built 2 permanent homeless residents for them. And then we also helped Catholic Charities with Verde Villas. We've also helped another group, SARCs, build some properties called 29 Palms. We've done 140 some ACT rehabs with NSP, and so we feel like we're up to the task. But what excites us most about working on a project like this, where we can affect an entire neighborhood, is a holistic approach we can take. We can bring in not only good quality homes with wonderful envelopes, energy efficient, no VOCs, good, healthy environments to live in, but we can also bring in healthy communities in terms of nutrition, looking around to safety for families and how they ambulate or move around the neighborhood. We also want to see that folks who live in the neighborhood get jobs, and we're a good training center for that. We can train with a lot of trades in the building trade. We want to reach out to the community around us and have a good vendor base that is local. On our multifamily projects around the state, we try and get at least 37% of every dollar we spend into the pocket or into the hands of a local vendor. We want to engage the youth. Hopefully jobs will come out of that, but also a sense of belonging and a sense of a neighborhood that they want to grow up. They want to see their kids come and live in at some future point. On our staff, we're pretty well qualified. We have an appraiser, we have a broker, we have a realtor, we have an architect. I'm a recovering mortgage banker. So we've all got a little bit of shoulder to lend to the wheel to get this project done. I know you're short on time, but if I could introduce Ms. Lopez with Mandalay, our construction partner on this. And then we're certainly available for any questions or suggestions you have for the project as well. Thank you.
This project for us is more than just work. It's personal. I actually live in the neighborhood. I live in South Phoenix. I went to South Mountain High School, and I have seen the change that the neighborhood has gone through. And I just ask for your support, and I am very excited to not only see our neighborhood be improved, but I'm very excited and honored to be part of it. I represent Mandalay Homes, who's going to be the general contractor for Foundation for Senior Livings, and I am the designated broker for the real estate service portion of it. And Mandalay Homes happens to be right in the neighborhood. We're actually right at the corner of 32nd Street and Broadway, which we actually drive by the neighborhood or through the neighborhood every day on our way to work because we live there and we work there. And we just wanted to emphasize that we are very involved in the neighborhood, not just in a business matter, but because we live there. In fact, the owner of Mandalay Homes lives in the neighborhood as well. Thank you. Thank you.
A couple questions, if you don't mind?
Yes, please. Yes.
I think we've heard from the community they want to be partners in marketing the neighborhood, and that sometimes the media coverage is frustrating and they want to tell a great story, and part of that is the history in the neighborhood, the great things that have been accomplished there. So could you speak a little bit about the marketing plan? And
well, we have very good experience working with the neighborhood stabilization program. So we're bringing a lot of that experience into this project. We market to specifically to people in the neighborhood because we feel that a lot of people that already live there, they want to stay and become homeowners. And if they are homeowners, they want a better quality home. As far as the marketing plan, we are going to be marketing both in English and Spanish. Every single piece of marketing that we put out there is in both languages. We will be having a presence in the neighborhood in the form of a model home. So not only for sales purposes, but we want the neighbors to see us there and feel comfortable coming into this model home and talk to us of any needs besides housing. And we want to be a resource to them. We will use the normal channels, online marketing, radio, and print marketing. But we feel that the biggest thing for us is going to be the signage in the neighborhood and letting the neighbors know that they're welcome to come in to our model for whatever needs they have, besides just inquiring about the home.
Could I add one thing
Please.
to the marketing plan?
Yes.
And that is, when we list these homes, we also go out and we market to all the realtors in town, so they know the product. And we market to all the lenders in town as well, so they know that there are subsidies that can help folks. So if they're talking to somebody in North Phoenix and saying, hey, there's a great product down in South Phoenix you ought to go take a look at, we want those folks too.
Wonderful. And I think we heard a desire from people to have the neighborhood involved, but maybe strategies that don't involve meetings. And I don't know if that, so signs I think is helpful, and maybe flyers. I don't know if you might speak about. I guess I still think probably meetings is important, but maybe not just meetings.
Speaking of flyers, we do use a service which is such a common service. I don't know why I didn't even think about it. We use Every Door Direct Mail, and we actually send out postcards with pictures of the properties and a big headline that talks about the assistance that we provide, the energy efficiency. And this is a very affordable way for us to ensure that every single house in the neighborhood gets information about it. So we do use a lot of that. And like Steve mentioned, one of the easiest ways to market also outside the neighborhood is through the realtor associations. And in fact, it has been our experience with the NSP program that we actually have quarterly mega open houses where we hold several houses open for the day, and we actually get lenders and realtor associations to bring in busloads of people to see the properties and register to receive the homeowner education class.
And I think the churches in the area have offered to be partners as well. They want their members who used to live in the area to come back.
Yes.
Wonderful. And then could you speak a little bit about, maybe for Steve, the community engagement process as we go through?
Well, we want it to be broad and persistent, reaching out through the various neighborhood associations, through the churches, through the schools, with the door-to-door campaign, with radio, and invite them to events, almost a festival attitude at times, where people come in and we can spend some time with them. We can share some food and some stories and hear what they want, see what they want. We can offer up certain ideas and plans, get them to respond, and then slowly solidify those plans into what the houses and what the floor plans will look like. But just make sure that the people who live around and are going to be involved over the millennia, we hope, have a lot of input and reflects the things they're interested in. We won't take much for granted.
Wonderful. And this, as I mentioned, and I think we heard earlier, this is a neighborhood with a lot of rich history. And can you talk about your both of your partners' history a little bit more in the area and how you want to engage people and be reflective of, we've had some stops and starts with this redevelopment, and we ought to be cognizant of that history as we move forward.
And we understand,
Maybe not you.
We understand and appreciate the commitment this takes. One of the most disappointing things about community development or redevelopment is that there's an effort that starts and then it stops. People believe, trust, and buy into what you're doing, and then if you stop or back off, then they're kind of left behind. And we can't allow that to happen. We've been in Arizona for 40 years, and when we responded to the RFP, we committed to being here throughout the redevelopment and beyond.
Since you mentioned, you said to each of the two organizations, Mandalay Homes has done several private projects in South Phoenix subdivisions. And one of the things that a lot of people did not know that we do the more affordable housing as well. One of the things that Mandalay Homes is known for is bringing in a little bit higher priced, higher quality home into South Phoenix. And I always talk about how I met David Everson, the owner of MHI Mandalay Homes. My husband and I wanted to stay in South Phoenix. We wanted a nice home. We were both college graduates. We did not want to leave, but we wanted a nice house, and it was hard to find. And we kept looking, and we found this small infill subdivision, and we met him. He was there. working his subdivision, and he told us that he wanted to be in South Phoenix, that he was building his own home in South Phoenix, and he felt that we needed to bring better, a little bit more expensive housing to bring a different mix and have the neighborhood who be more diverse versus only the stereotype of low income. And we just fell in love with the idea. We thought he thinks the way we do. We bought a home, and years later he calls me to work for the neighborhood stabilization program. And I always tell people, I always use it as an example. People thought he was a little crazy to build semi-luxury in South Phoenix, and he sold them fast. And he proved that there was a need and a want and a desire for people with higher incomes to move to South Phoenix. And we talk about that. Actually, most of us in that neighborhood come from outside, and most of them are college graduates with six-figure incomes, and they love South Phoenix. They chose to move there. So that was the beginning of him moving to South Phoenix to work and live there. But he is now also doing a lot of rehabs and remodels in South Phoenix and providing affordable housing. So that attests to his belief of a diverse income level and educational levels to come to South Phoenix.
If I could mention a couple more things about our presence. We have a property at 454 East Rozier, which is 80 units of senior housing. We did it in 2000, and I think we're one of the first permits pulled for multifamily in like 20 years at the time we did it. We have adult daycare historically in that area. We've done probably several thousand minor emergency home repairs in the area as well. And we have investment in another property in Rozier, another property on Olympic, another property on Baseline for future development as well.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Gail Knight.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Councilwoman Pastor. Thank you again for continuing to support South Phoenix Village in its efforts to move forward. As it was mentioned here, it was started in 1989. My late husband was at that time recruited to the city of Phoenix to really focus on fight back organizations. And that was one of the first fight back communities in the city of Phoenix. And during that time, the focus of the neighborhood was, let's first secure, let's reduce crime, let's reduce drugs, and then let us look at how we can continue to build out and improve our community. And out of that came the discussion of revitalization. The whole effort with revitalization in South Phoenix Village is to build enough homes so that it does attract the retail. In our discussions, we had a lot of discussions with individuals in the retail field. We had individuals to come in from various supermarkets, the big box and the large box. And they didn't talk about necessarily income, they talked about rooftops. And they said in order to bring another retail industry, specifically supermarkets, to 24th and Broadway specifically, we would need to build out more rooftops from 24th and Broadway to Baseline. Well, the big rooftops got built out from Baseline to the Mountain, but it was a little slow coming from Baseline to Broadway. So the focus was on bringing neighborhood residents, bringing universities, bringing communities on the other side of 24th, bringing businesses together to talk about how we could develop a comprehensive approach to revitalization in the South Phoenix Village. We changed the boundaries, which was approved by the City Council, from 24th to 28th to 24th to 32nd, from the river bottom to Rozier Road. And by doing that, we were able to attract the first commercial businesses at 32nd and Broadway. It served as the catalyst for bringing University of Phoenix at the I-10 and 32nd corridor. And then we moved towards low to moderate income through the infill. And we were able to bring in young home buyers who were interested in becoming a part of the community. They were nieces and great-grandchildren and grandchildren of residents that lived in that community who wanted to come back and live there after they had moved to the west side during the days of the terrible issues of drugs and gangs in the community. Those individuals were able to be a part of our first-time home buyers program, where if they lived in their homes for 11 years or more, they had a buy-down mortgage that was provided by the city. They are now in their second dream home and have sold that first home. But at the same time, we were wanting to continue to expand beyond the 42 to bring all of the lots in the area up to the point where we had homes on. The city bought a very valuable asset during the economic downturn, and that was continuing to fight blight so that those who had invested in the community did not feel that they were now in a home that was in a blighted area. They built out continuously the landscaping that we wanted at 24th and Broadway, the completion of the Heritage Broadway Center there on 25th and Broadway, and continue to be involved extensively with the community. And I said to the community, every time you see a lot that is burned, the city has invested there. So that became their hold for eventually we're going to get back to infill development. And so today, I'm very excited, even though it's taken 25 years. No one has stopped focusing on this community because that's what really makes it happen. I said to the community when I came to work with them on revitalization in 2001, you build it and they will come. You stay committed and they will be here. We show an appreciation and it will occur. And I thank you for not making a liar out of me, for continuing to keep these residents excited about what is happening there. Because I can tell you what is about to happen with FSL being involved with us, the wraparound services that they bring to the community, the tremendous amount of years they have been involved in the community. It really helps to continue to increase that trust, increase that support for the city, for what you have continued to do. Because I tell them, it is not often that you keep a government entity involved this long in your community. Because it takes millions of dollars to build up a blighted area. I have worked in many an inner city community. It takes a long time. And I'm very pleased with what we're doing. I'm very pleased with what is about to happen. And as Ms. Ware said, yes, Martin Luther King Boulevard, it will shine. It will shine. But we need to always stop. And I say to residents all the time, thank your city government, your federal government, your county government when they are supporting your efforts. Because it takes a lot of money when you're working with blighted inner city communities. So we're here. We're excited. We will be involved. They talked about the neighborhood engagement. I will make sure they have so much neighborhood engagement. Anybody that knows me, they'll have so much neighborhood engagement, it will blow their mind. The home buyer workshops that we had before will be extensive, whether they have it at their model, whether they have it at the CEP location. We're going to have people buying homes in that area. Again, thank you.
Thank you. I think that is all of our cards. So appreciate the longstanding commitment. I'm sorry. It's more cards than I usually get at meetings, but why don't you come up and I will search for it.
Is it on this issue?
On South Phoenix Village?
No.
Okay.
No, mine's on general comments. Am I later?
Yes. Yeah, we general public comment is, I think the next one will go much more quickly than this one. Okay.
So I move that the NHD Subcommittee recommends City Council approval of the South Phoenix Village Infill Award recipient of FSL Real Estate Services.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes 3-0. Thank you very much. We are just beginning with this one.
Thank you.
But we'll maintain commitment to keeping the community involved and getting a good product. Item 9, RFP for development of city-owned property between 2nd and 3rd Avenues on McKinley Street.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Chris Hallett, Director of Neighborhood Services Department. I'm joined by Eric Johnson from Community and Economic Development. We are partnering together on these two parcels you see here along the north side of McKinley between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. NSD, Neighborhood Services, has owned this property for a number of years. And we've received interest in the redevelopment of this property, which is why it is under a redevelopment area as well from the Roosevelt area. For many years, and we have some construction just to the north of this site already underway. And it's, again, just like the previous aspect, revitalization takes a very long time, commitment of time and money. and it's great when we're able to come to these opportunities for fruition. So whereas we're approving an RFP in the previous item, here is where we're asking for permission to move forward. I'll hand it over to Eric to give you a little more of the details about the surrounding area.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Chair, subcommittee members. The city has gone out and done extensive requests for feedback from the community. We've used online surveys, we've been to several neighborhood meetings, and we've done direct mailings to the community and received a lot of feedback on what they'd like to see. Their primary focus has been on residential. They would encourage mixed-use development. They want to make sure we address parking, landscaping, and the pedestrian experience as well through the RFP process. Using that feedback in part of drafting our RFP, we've developed some evaluation criteria for your review here. Obviously, the focus for the community is what the scope and the scale of the project will be, as well as making sure we find a developer that will complete the project that they want to build. So that's where we've put the primary focus on the evaluation criteria. And just to give you a quick idea of how we'll reach out and do marketing and outreach for this RFP, we want to make sure we reach out to as many different possible candidates to be proposers through this. We'll use our public information office, use social media, as well as print media, and then make sure we continue to keep connected with the neighborhood groups and the local organizations that house a lot of the development groups that we'll be looking to see responses from. The proposal the process we're working on right now, today we're obviously asking for your recommendation. If approved, we will then go on to subcommittee, formal council on May 13th. Over the summer, we will issue the RFP and then hope to have some great proposals submitted to the city, and then take a recommended proposal back to City Council for your review right after summer break, early in the fall. With that, staff is recommending that the subcommittee recommend City Council approval to issue the RFP and select a development team and begin negotiations.
Wonderful. Councilwoman? I have no cards. Councilman Valenzuela, unless you have any comments, we would take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Good luck. Hope you get lots of great bidders. We'll now turn to, I'm sorry, early on we had a card from Diane Barker on item number 5, and I apologize. It was more cards than I am used to, and I missed it. So would have, if you want to speak on that item first, or you can speak on both this and public comment if.
Thank you, Chairwoman Gallego. Diane Barker, and I'm in District 7, and this has been very informative today. I'm glad to see the progress. I certainly am interested in the positive growth in Phoenix, but I wanted to make a general comment in regards to fair housing. You know, I'm living in Phoenix, and I have witnessed being in some senior housing, and it not only incorporates, you know, seniors, but other persons. And I'd like to see a bigger display of the fair housing, which is non-discrimination against, you know, all persons of any age, but particularly seniors. And I say this, it's no secret that in the Western society, we don't revere age as much as the Eastern society. And I say to some persons that go old, they got old, I said, yeah, that'll happen to you if you're lucky enough to survive too, you know, a longer age. We even in our culture sometimes don't see females aren't, you know, pictured as much as we get over 50. And but where I'm going with this is I'd like to see a bigger display of all of the non-discrimination, including seniors. I like that word better than elderly. And there is non-discrimination, and there's reprisal, and also for the reporting of it, that there's a non-retaliatory, you know, that you should be able to voice what is going on. These communities that the city has hired managers, the city owns some senior properties. If it's displayed in the office, there should be something in the window or on a bulletin board that would stay there to say how that the community supports the diversity and all ages, and particularly, in regards to the seniors. And that's my, and I look forward to seeing that the city upholds that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. I was very excited about the city's contract with several advocacy groups to do fair housing education and advocacy. So hopefully we will, in partnership with the nonprofit community, have more progress in that particular area. And now, Patricia Powell, I apologize for the confusing nature. We certainly would have welcomed your comments on South Phoenix Village, but I have a feeling that this is the more appropriate time. And at the public comment, because it was not noticed, we can't discuss agenda items, but we can talk offline and put it on future agenda items.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, Councilman Gallego. I had a couple of questions. It seemed to me, I noticed there are two types of infill properties. One is the one where the city acquires the property, and the other one is where you have private developers. Is that correct?
I guess, can I?
We can take that information, and I can get your information and get back to you on that, but we'll take all of your public comment that you have today.
Okay, thank you.
We might just grab some folks from planning.
Would love it.
We've had a lot of discussions around this issue, so we can.
Okay, the other thing, so my concern is I think it's great that it seems like you've got a lot of design going on the city infills, but on the private infills, it seems that there is a lacking in that area and a lacking of reaching out to neighborhoods. And so I did have a question, and I can deal with it outside of the meeting, but on what is the process for owners, property owners, because while we want diversity, we also want conformity so that the neighborhood lifestyles and standards stay the same, are still respected for everyone. And so I wondered what the process was for property owners to be included in, and especially on infill projects.
Wonderful. I think did we lose our planning director? We did.
Yes, I think Mr. Stevenson did leave.
Okay.
But that, and also the due process for property owners, so that existing neighborhoods that are there, Phoenix has a number of them. They have historical ones, I think, in Canto, and they have several around that are mid-century, what you might call mid-century communities of one-story homes that have pretty standard and conforming properties, whereby that when you go ahead and use an infill, I think it's important for the city to look at projects and design and reaching out to neighbors. And a lot of these neighborhoods are not with homeowners associations on their deeds. They may have a volunteer type of association, but they are not tied into anyone. So there's really not, it's more loosely formed neighborhood. And so I would like to see some interaction where these owners can be heard and their issues addressed as well. So that was all I have to say, and I thank you. I think that design and plan review of the projects, which you obviously have done for many of the infill and South Mountain, sounds, like they're doing just a great job. And so I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to reach out to you some, off meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that is all of our cards. Thank you very much for a very broad but productive meeting. We look forward to seeing everyone next month.